What is up, X Factor Nation? We are back with another weekly NBA pod. The content has been rolling out. Hope you guys have been enjoying. As always, I'm joined by my two beautiful co-hosts, Caleb and Troy. How we doing today, boys?
Doing
Good.
great. How are you, Caleb?
Doing really good. Really good.
Hey, I'm hearing a rumor around town that one of us X Factors has a lot of off days coming up, and apparently the content is going to be booming. Just
Oh
from
yeah.
what I'm hearing. Just
Oh
from
yeah.
what I'm hearing.
I'm
But
off
for
work
today,
off work for the next 12 days. Gonna be living down here and
oh,
just bumping content.
I don't want to speak for Fred, but I am pretty jealous about the schedule my man's about to have for the next 12
Yeah,
days.
I'm exhausted.
But looking at
Yeah.
today, we have the weekly NBA pod for you guys. Three little headings that we're just going to dive into, three really, really awesome topics. And let's just start right with kind of our bread and butter is the most valuable realistic trade names. I love talking about trades. I know you guys do as well. So we just want to toss out a few names, maybe give a few teams that we think should go after him, just kind of dive into the player as a whole. Caleb, I'll start with you. Who is your most valuable realistic trade name?
Right now I have Alex Caruso at top of my list. I really didn't
Mm,
even think about it until there was after the Warriors played the Bulls. You saw Steve
hmm
Kerr like, I would love to have you. I would love to have you, like pretty much drooling over Alex Caruso. And I mean the Bulls are bad. There's no question about it. I think they need to switch things up. And it's one of those things where it's like you've only had him there for a year. Is it going to hurt that bad to watch him leave, especially with you guys struggling? And I think a lot of teams could use a guy like that. Like obviously the Warriors could want him. I mean, if the Timberwolves really, really, really want to try to go after, a deep playoff spot, I think they need a guy like Alex Caruso that can guard multiple positions, come off the bench, start for them when needed. Because when they come to their bench, they don't have anybody that can help them out defensively and even offensively at times too. So I think there's a lot of teams. I mean, I really, realistically, I feel like if you have the availability to go after Alex Caruso, you should. Like any team should want a guy like that. So that's why I have him number one, just because I do feel like there's so many teams that could want him.
I, to be honest, I didn't even think about Caruso.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, Fred.
No, I haven't thought about it, but I mean, he's definitely a valuable role player, and those are definitely at a premium right now.
Yeah, Alex Caruso, guy that can a dirty worker. I mean, I've sung the praises of Alex Caruso for years. I consider that one of the biggest moments of the Lakers front office failures. There's been a lot over the last few years, but that is one at the top of the list. Fred, who's your most valuable name?
I'm going with Julius Randle of the New York Knicks.
Mm,
I think he's played incredible ball this year. He's sitting at 23 a game, 9 rebounds, 4 assists. His splits aren't bad. He's shooting close to 35 from the 3-point line. Like, he's a guy a couple years ago, most improved guy, was an all NBA performer, an all star. I think the Knicks just need to blow it up at this point. And I think he can go to a team like Phoenix and really get plugged into that 4 spot and play really good basketball for them. And I think, there's a couple other teams that I'd like to see him with. One I thought about was Portland. With Jeremy Grant, the way he's been playing, I think if you could afford to move him to the 3, maybe, but definitely Phoenix was kind of the first team I thought of when I thought of Julius Randle. Um, I love Julius Randle. I think he does a lot of good things. I know last year he was really bad, but if anything, he's boosted his stock this year, and I think New York just needs to move on and try a different direction.
There's just so many questions for me when it comes to Julius Randle being
Yeah,
traded. It's like, what number one do you want back for him? Number two, what are you actually going to get for him? And number
I don't think
three,
the Knicks go for. Sorry to cut you off. I don't think the
no,
Knicks
you're good.
need to get anything back. I don't think they'd want to get anything back, in my opinion. I think it's a
It's New
let's
York.
move
They're gonna
on.
no, it's New York. They're gonna want something back. You know
But
what
they're
I mean?
not in the position to want anything back. Because what are they gonna do with it? They're not trying to win.
I
If
have
they were
a
trying to win,
suggestion.
they wouldn't have got Jalen Brunson.
I want to throw this out to you guys. Because thinking about Randall, what do you think about a potential Randall Pascal Siakam type swap?
I think the Raptors will get worse.
Yeah, I just don't think it benefits. Like, it's definitely an interesting thought, but like, I just don't know if it really changes the direction of either one of those teams. It's two big men that want to shoot and aren't
Yeah.
consistent.
Yeah, it was just off the top of my head. I'm sitting here like maybe that would be
Yeah.
an
The
interesting one.
Raptors, I think the Raptors could be an interesting team here very soon to be targeting some guys. So
I completely agree. But I'm going to keep the theme going of former Laker players that might be on the market. My number one available player is Kyle Kuzma. Who wouldn't want a 6'9" forward that's long, athletic, has played alongside stars throughout his entirety of his career, has won a championship, has literally done it all at the NBA level. As a really low pick this year, I mean, career numbers 21 and a half points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists. He's having a really, really good year. And again, he's willing to do the little things. I made a TikTok about him and I made the comment that he really doesn't have a weakness in his game. And somebody chimed in the comment section and was like, Kyle Kuzma doesn't have a weakness. And I was like, well, tell me what a weakness is in his game. He can shoot, he can attack the rim. He's not, afraid to dish it off to the open man. He's played alongside stars. He's a great cutter. He's a great rebounder. He's a hustle guy. He can play defense. Like, he's 6'9".
defense is probably the only thing you could point out, but it's like even still, he's getting better. So
He's made for LA too. He just looks like Los Angeles.
see, I don't, yeah, but I don't know. I just don't know if I agree because it's like this Kyle Kuzma we're seeing. If you put him back with LeBron and AD,
I'm not talking about that LA.
Clippers.
I personally want him in Sacramento. I think
Sacramento is my team. Yeah.
Where do you put King to the bench? Where do you move Harrison to the bench? I'd move Barnes to the bench because I think Barnes gives you more from a leadership off if he could like run that second unit.
Yeah.
Because Keegan plays a role perfectly.
That's an idea. Or you talk to Kuzma and maybe Kuzma's open to that because I think you could start Harrison Barnes, keep him happy. You bring Kuzma off the bench, and then it's almost like a thing where Kuzma gets in, he doesn't come out very often. If that makes sense. He's in your closing
that bench
lineup.
unit's gross because Malik Monk's balling right now.
Yeah,
Terrence Davis has played good minutes. You know what David Mitchell gives you.
Is there a
complete team right now?
Is there a realistic world where like Kristaps is traded too, like staying on Wizards because Kristaps is balling out right now? Kristaps is
so.
Like a lot.
Is that your second name?
No, I mean,
what about guys like Vucevic too out in Chicago?
I don't think Vucevic is as good as we think he is. I think like even Chicago, like fans of Chicago are ready to get rid of him. Other fans are like, keep him.
I think there's a lot of guys in that Chicago team that could get moved. I think Patrick Williams could get moved.
Yeah, but like even like a guy like Kristaps could. You mentioned the Suns. What if like they worked it out and Kristaps is playing the 4 with DeAndre Ayton?
I think Kyle Kuzma would work good in Phoenix too.
I think
Phoenix, if they can get a guy to play right next to DeAndre Ayton, it might.
But then who would? Okay, so in the idea of Kuzma to Phoenix, like what would they move? Because
I think it has to be a 3.
Contracts.
It has to be a 3-team trade because if Phoenix is trading, they have to get rid. They're wanting to get rid of Jay Crowder, so it has to be a 3-team deal. Because
what would the Wizards do? Yeah, exactly.
Washington's
what would the
not taking Jay Crowder.
Yeah. But you got to think these teams. They're just wanting to maybe salary dump, contract dump, like at that point because like it's like New York and Washington teams like that. I don't think they're in a position to win a championship. So it's like, okay, this didn't work. Let's blow it up. On to the next.
Okay. So interesting conversation on Kuzma there. Caleb, do you have another name?
Yeah, mine's John Collins. I think it's it's just a matter of time at this point. Hawks are struggling. I just really don't think him and Trae Young actually enjoy playing together. I mean, that's just from what I've seen. I'm not, nothing I've heard, but I think he's a guy that in a different system could be a lot better. Like he could be the screen and roll because it's like Clint Capella is really like the screen and roll type guy. Yeah, I think if like Dallas is a team I've heard is very interested in him, I think that would be interesting. Have him because Luka will find him. Like Luka will set him up perfectly. And him and Christian Wood could play together. I think John Collins is definitely a better defender, and they need a guy like that in Dallas. So that definitely interests me. But I do think it's just a matter of time before John Collins is out of there, and I'm interested to see him in another rotation because I do think he has a lot to offer.
What about John Collins to the Hornets?
I
Pair him
don't
up
want
with-
any. I don't want anybody to go to the Hornets. I want the Hornets to blow up. They suck.
But
I mean, I get what
you
you're.
pair
No, I get
him
what
with
you're. I get what you're
LaMelo.
saying. Absolutely, but I do think. I don't think like that's. I feel like that's a
He's
kind
just
of
playing
trade.
with a taller Trey Young at that point.
Oh, come on. Oh, stop that.
No,
Oh, no
Lamelo's better than
way.
Trey Young.
Got to be more efficient. I'm talking efficiency wise.
Polar opposites.
But it's just a matter. Like I just think. I think that's a trade where it benefits the Hornets more, and I don't think the Hornets really want to like. Let's be honest, they think they're getting Victor Wembanyama.
So
Why try to mess
But
that up?
they're a team who needs to do something quick, or Lamelo's going to want out.
It's only his what, third year?
you could trade like a package of like PJ Washington.
No, yeah, I get what
maybe-
you're saying.
well.
Like Charlotte is as a team has Gordon Hayward. I think could provide solid minutes off a bench for a good team. Terry Rozier could be a bench guy. PJ Washington, like they have multiple.
Oubre.
Yeah, like they have multiple pieces that
Oubre's
could go.
probably a guy I would attach to get rid of like a PJ Washington if that's the avenue they're wanting to go down. You know what I
And
mean?
he's good looking, so like that helps.
And a team like the Hawks could want a guy like Kelly Oubre.
They can
I'm
get
just
it.
saying.
I just don't think I think the Hornets hang up. I think the Hornets are like, we want to suck this year
Really?
and go get Victor Wembanyama. Yeah, I mean,
Do you
look
think
at their
John
record.
Collins
They have
moves the needle that much for them.
I think it helps them just a little bit more. Like you got to think it's going to be a race for last place.
Well, the lotteries.
I was about to say you still got to win the lottery.
Yeah, the
Yeah, but
lottery's
I mean,
tougher
like,
to win.
The more you win games, you're making it even more difficult on yourself. You know,
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
like you got to think like come like mid-January through mid-February when some teams are taking nights off. You got John Collins and LaMelo throwing oops all night long, and they're going to win some games. They're going to string together some games. You know what I mean? Like, I like that idea. I'm not saying that's wrong. I just think that the Hornets' vision for this year doesn't match up with bringing in John Collins.
I gotcha. Fred, you got a name?
Bojan Bogdanovic.
Yeah.
Played a simple in Detroit. I mean, dude's averaging 21 right now. Dallas, go get him.
Dallas.
I don't know if the Pistons want to trade him.
Go get him.
I really don't know if the Pistons want to trade him. I feel like if they did, it'd be well known by now. Like no,
I think
like
they're
you've
holding
seen.
out for a first.
Well, I don't even know if I've seen them. Like I've seen that reports are listening to trades for Sadiq Bey, and which is wild to me because it's like Sadiq Bey fits that timeline way better. Bogdanovich doesn't. But I haven't seen anything about them listening to calls or trade or anything about Bogdanovich.
I just think he can provide a lot of wing scoring for a lot of teams who need it.
A few
Dallas.
Laker outlets that I trust have said that the Lakers have had calls with them, and the asking price is a lightly protected first round pick, which essentially means they want a top 3 protected first from a team. Top 5.
I still stand by the Grizzlies should go get him.
Yeah, that was my second team. Was the Memphis
Grizzlies need a guy that can calm down and go get you a bucket, and that man has proven he can do that.
Desmond, Bojan, JJJ,
Dylan Brooks too, kind of.
I'd be my starter. I'd be my starting 5 right there. I'd play Brooks as small ball 4. Or shoot, put Bogdanovich as small ball 4.
Their style of play, though, is a little more fast paced.
Well, I think if you could convince him to come off your bench, because I mean that is asking a lot for a guy that's having his best year yet.
Yeah.
But it's like if we bring you in, like we're already exciting and fun. We need a guy to come in and calm us down and go get us buckets and in crunch time that we can trust, because it's like I don't know if I trust Ja in crunch time just like completely. You know what I mean? Like I might be wrong, but
he's definitely a little bit more frantic than you'd want in those situations right now.
You need a guy that can just go get you a bucket, and you need a guy as much as I do think he's a fantastic facilitator too. Like I mean, he's putting up big numbers scoring wise this year, but I think it's like he's a fantastic facilitator too, and I think that gets overlooked. So I do think you could play him anywhere. I get what you're saying there, sped up a little bit, but I think he'd be just fine.
I got a name, kind of like almost as an identical name. Bogdanovich from the Hawks. A little two guard, 6'6", nice wing, about a 40, right about a 40% 3-point shooter on his career. He's had an injury induced season. So he's only played 6 games, but 18 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists. Just a guy that isn't a liability on the defensive side of the ball, can space the floor really nicely, has played alongside these ball dominant guards and done really, really well. And he's played in some big games with the Hawks, and he never flinches. He's honestly a guy that you could almost want to have the ball in his hands later in some situations. Obviously not all the time, but just a nice guy to have on the floor, and a name that I thought hasn't really been mentioned a lot in trade talks, but could be a guy if the Hawks are like, okay, we're going to go in a different direction in terms of with John Collins, maybe Bogey, maybe try to clear our books a little bit. Just a guy to kind of keep an eye on.
Fred,
Any
what do you
thoughts on
think
that
about
one?
that? Yeah, Fred, what do you think about that one?
If I'm the Hawks, I don't want to keep him.
I just don't see the benefit of getting rid of him because
Yeah.
like right now he's coming off your bench and they need all the help they can get on their bench.
Because I
You know,
think
and
they're going to
especially-
want to win.
30.
I don't think they're, unless they got something crazy in return.
I just
I
feel
don't
like
think
he's
they're a
too
team looking
valuable.
for draft picks.
Like they're a team that still realistically thinks they have a chance to compete in a long playoff run, and they need that bench piece.
I mean, we know why
'cause-
they're not going to compete, but
Yeah, but I mean, either way, they if they're gonna compete like they think they are, that bench piece is important because everybody else on their bench up to this point, like AJ Griffin, but he kind of starts and sits or whatever. But other than that,
So in my head, this is me just thinking in my head. If you're able to like call the Knicks, and let's say they're willing to do an Evan Fournier and Emmanuel quickly for Bogey in a couple seconds, and they're willing to do that, and you get that 2-for-1, you get some depth, you get IQ to come off your bench, you get Fournier to come off your bench. Would you think about that? This is me just spitballing in my head, just an idea.
I would think about it, but I don't like Evan Fournier. Like statistically, is like Evan Fournier statistically is like one of the worst playoff performers all time. Like
I'd still want Bogdanovich over those two, and I love Emmanuel quickly.
No, I think Emmanuel
over IQ.
Mm-hmm.
I think he could play alongside Trey and
Exactly.
DeJounte, like because
agree.
DeJounte is a big guy. He could guard a 3 easily. He could
Easy.
guard. So I think quickly is interesting. I think Fournier you have to throw in though to make it work.
I think IQ gives them low key a better Trey Young. Low key floor spacing.
But you got to
can
think if
defend
Trey
a little
Young,
bit better.
but if Trey Young's on the floor, you're not a better Trey Young because Trey Young's gonna have the ball in his
take him
hands.
out. Take him out.
Hey, when does Atlanta think about?
They're not gonna do that, huh?
Hey, when does Atlanta think about moving Trey Young?
That's an interesting conversation, but for now we're doing realistic.
Yeah,
I don't think that's
because if we were just doing random, I'd be throwing Karl Anthony Townsend out there real quick.
Caleb, you got any more names?
One more I had just because he's on an expiring, so I it could be interesting, but I don't know if the team's going to be willing to give him up. Is Seth Curry? Seth Curry is a guy that I love watching Seth Curry play. He's very solid, he shoots, at a high rate, can spread the floor, can also shoot off the dribble. So I do think there obviously is a market for guys like him all year long, every year. But the Nets are playing really well up to this point. They finally started to turn things around. So I don't know if the Nets will be willing to depart with him. I think obviously Joe Harris is probably more likely to be gone before Seth Curry. But I mean, I don't know. I feel like Seth Curry could provide a lot of value to a team that makes a deep playoff run. And it just might be the Nets though, so I could be wrong.
Fred?
I went with Miles Turner. I think the willingness to trade him has gone down significantly since the start of the year, just the way the Pacers are playing. But I think they look at themselves in the mirror and see if they, move on from him, maybe a nice piece, a young piece back or some draft picks. I think moving on from him would be a right move, and I think they keep the rest of their core. And I think
Did you trade James Wiseman?
No, I wouldn't. There's too many question marks. I mean, they're definitely a team who can afford to maybe take a risk on a guy like that, but I don't know, dude.
I
He
just
looks
don't
like
know
a
what kind
complete
of young.
bust right now.
I don't know what kind of young piece you give. Like, I think the Pacers should keep him.
What
I
about
don't
Nick
think.
Claxton?
Turner?
Yeah, keep Miles Turner.
Would
Nick
you
Clack.
maybe Nick Claxton in the pick?
You're gonna.
Leave
I
him leading
think.
field
you
goal
would have to add some salary to make that thing
Yeah, I was
work.
about to say you'd
Yeah.
have to throw more in, like probably Joe Harris and guys like that. That's interesting because I do think Claxton could play well with Halliburton. A pick and roll, good to the rim. If Halliburton's
And
definitely
I
gonna.
think Miles Turner gives them a lot of value next to Ben Simmons.
That's
And
true. That's really
Because
true. That's a good. No, that's a
Claxton
good.
can't shoot.
Jalen Smith and Nick Claxton could also play together. Smith kind of spaces the floor.
That's not a bad idea. Yeah, that's not terrible at all. Wow,
Yeah.
I haven't thought
when,
about that.
Yeah, when you first say it, I'm even when I was talking, like, and then I was like, oh wait, I had this thought of because I think Brooklyn's in a situation. Because I mean, they're on a nice little win streak right now, right?
Yeah, they're looking
Yeah,
good.
If I'm them, I'm giving the Wizards a call.
For the Wizards to call? The Nets?
you're gonna trade. Oh, the Nets. Oh, okay. I thought you were saying you're gonna trade Miles Turner for Kristaps Porzingis.
I'd be a little counterproductive.
I don't. Who do you value more?
Miles Turner.
I
Miles
think
Turner's going to be healthy.
Okay, it's a good argument.
And finally, I'm gonna say a guy that's been in the trade market, it seems now, for the last like 3 years is Eric Gordon.
Yep.
I feel like
he's still in the league. I'm just kidding.
He's just a veteran that can provide quite a bit of everything for a team: floor spacing, defending, little pit bull. Some call him E-money. So yeah, I'm an Eric Gordon guy.
He sticks out like a sore thumb on Houston because he's so much older than everyone else.
Yeah, and he gets on these young guys. I've watched a couple Houston games, and like he's like,
I'm sorry.
I feel really bad for him, but he is like visibly frustrated like 90% of the time that I watch.
He's a guy he's been connected to Phoenix for years. I think Phoenix could go. So like think about it. Like he is not the defender Jay Crowder is, but he's a better shooter. And he's not gonna like it's not gonna be noticeably different if like between him and Jay Crowder defensively, in my opinion. And right now, Jay Crowder's not even playing for you. So I think that's another guy where it's a 3-team trade, obviously. It has to be. Where like I'm just trying to think off the top of my head. Rockets send Eric Gordon, Jay Crowder, Rockets send Eric Gordon to the Suns.
I have one.
Jay Crowder goes to the Bucks. Bucks send Jordan Nwora, somebody young,
Or with the Nets, we just talked about them. They get Jay Crowder. They send Joe Harris over to Houston, and then they send Eric Gordon to the Suns, and then you buy out Joe Harris. That's something, and you just get picks for taking on Joe Harris and for allowing that team to move Jay.
Eric Gordon's bound to move this year. Lock it in. I'd put my life on it. So I mean,
yeah, he's getting to the age, man, where he almost has to look at front office and be like, please, for the love of God.
I just think Phoenix has been attached to him for years, and I think that they need him because you just need anybody to take over Jay Crowder's minutes, So
yeah,
it's definitely interesting. Yeah, I like that.
That was a great segment. Wraps a good bow on how many valuable names there are out there.
There's probably still so many we didn't even hit.
Exactly, and B, how many teams can continue to get better throughout the year, throughout trade deadline season, throughout buyout season, and then of course, throughout the year. So yeah, a lot of good names that we just went over, and we're going to keep diving into more great names as we dive into our top 5 MVP candidates at this point in the season. For those that are watching this, maybe you're, further ahead in the NBA season. This is December 15th. So as of December 15th, this is our top 5 MVP candidates. Fred, who is your number 5?
Devin Booker, Phoenix Suns. Sitting there right
that.
now, 27.4 points, about 5 rebounds, 6 assists. I just think he elevated his play this year. Definitely cooled off a little bit, but I still think the way the Suns have been playing, they've been kind of cooling off too, but he's had them playing well. He's looking great. you know what he gives you. His splits look great. I just personally love Devin Booker. This is to me a personal list. Shoot about 38 from the 3-point line, and 48 from the field. That's really good split. So I love what he's done for Phoenix, and I think they're going to continue to win games. And I think his stock's only going to rise.
Do you like
I don't
that,
hate it.
Caleb?
I don't hate it. I mean, he's the best two guard in the league right now, and Chris Paul was out for a good amount of time. And I mean, the Suns are especially like, I mean, think about like when we started the beginning of the season, you guys didn't know how good this Phoenix Suns team was going to be. Like you guys had them fairly low. And so I think he's the main part of that. And I think, his game has to give a lot of credit to it. And he's been consistent from day one. I think that's going to be the theme we see here, at least for me, is consistency is key in the MVP race.
The Suns, the Western Conference as a whole is very interesting because they're 2.5 games out of being in the 10 hole. But they're also 2.5 games out of being in the
From
first
being
seed.
number one. Yeah.
So it's, the Devin, I'm not a Devin Booker guy, just bluntly put. I think he's a fraud, to just be completely honest. But anyway, as a whole, I get him being top 5, but Caleb saying he's the best two guard in the league makes me just want to jump right in and give you my number 5, who I believe is the best two guard in the league, Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell has, completely elevated this Cleveland Cavaliers team into a team that, you have to take seriously night in, night out.
Mhm.
Garland, Mobley, Allen, and now Donovan Mitchell. He balled out last night for them. Pretty sure he had like 25 in the first quarter, if I can recall that correctly, against the Dallas Mavericks last night. Played like an absolute stud, played like an MVP candidate, led his team, ended with 34-4, 6 of 9 from downtown. I feel like every game I watch of this guy, he is just super efficient. Like, dude,
He's shooting 50 from the field, 42 from 3. That's really efficient. Yeah.
I'd call it 43.
Yeah, what he is doing, shooting the basketball, every shot he takes, I fully believe it's going in. Like he's just that guy, that type of guy. Like he just demands the ball, demands respect. He could score at all 3 levels. He's an unbelievable player, and that's why I have him at number 5. Caleb?
Yeah, not a bad pick there. These top 5, you can't go wrong either way. For my number 5, I went kind of wrong though. I'm a petty. I can be kind of petty at times. And if you guys know, my favorite team is the Dallas Mavericks. They've disappointed me up to this point, and so therefore I put Luka Doncic number 5. They're 14-14. I'm tired of seeing the same old. He's not shooting phenomenal from. He's shooting like 33% from the 3-point line. I'm just kind of fed up with what I've been seeing up to this point. Want to see something different. He is averaging 33 points, 8.7 rebounds, 8.7 assists, 8.4 rebounds. So I mean, he's putting up the numbers, but right now it's just not leading to winning. And I'm kind of just a bitter Mavericks fan putting him at number 5.
Does it make you feel better he's not in my top 5?
I don't disagree. Like I think I had to put him in my top 5 because of his numbers, but I couldn't put him top 3 because they're 14-14 and they've. Don't get me started. We'll move on.
I gotcha. Fred, right back to you.
I put Luka at 4.
Yeah, there you go.
The numbers don't lie. I know the record's not sitting pretty, but I mean, when you're scoring 33, 8 and 8 a night, I mean that's MVP level numbers. So I hope they make a move because I think they could definitely win some more games. With the current roster, I'm not so sure, but I mean, he's going to get his numbers.
Yeah, I'm just worried that putting so much on Luka. Like he
They are.
he has to do literally everything. Like,
well, if you remember, literally when we were ranking these teams before the season, I had them the lowest, and I'm the biggest Mavs fan in the whole. And I was like, there's no help for Luka, and he's going to get exhausted by the time it comes around for playoffs, and it's just going to be the same old. And up to this point, it's looking like it's heading that direction. So, there's a lot of things that could be done out in Dallas.
I'm going to continue maybe a little weirdo streak. My number 4 is Zion Williamson. I think that what he does on a basketball floor it's like Giannis-esque. It's not Giannis to a T, but it's very, very close. Like teams struggle to know what to do with this man. He's so big, he's so strong, he's so talented, he's so tough. And whenever he's out on the floor, good things tend to happen. He keeps getting better as well. He kind of started out off of his injuries. He kind of started out a little slower. But as the year continues to progress, he continues to just put up dynamite numbers 26, 9, and 5 last game against the Utah Jazz. The game before against, or 2 games back to back against Phoenix, he had 35 apiece in both. 29, 10, and 5 the game before, 30 and 15. Like you continue to look at him and he just continues to just peak, 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 and peak. And the Pelicans are up there as a top team in the West. So respect is due for their best player.
Yeah, I mean, my number one reason is, like you said, from like he started the season trying to figure things out, get things right. So
yeah,
but I mean, over this last several games, he's tearing it up. He's played 22 games and they've played 27. So he sat out 5 games. So I hold that just a little bit over, like like the Mavs have played 28. Luka's only sat 2 of them. So I do factor that in, but I think in a week and a half, if we were to do this again, if Zion keeps it up, Zion's easily in the top 5. So it's just consistency for me. Yeah.
If you're into gambling, I'm just going to throw my 2 cents in. Maybe Zion and Jayson Tatum may be worth a sprinkle. Just an idea. Yeah. Caleb, who's your number 4?
My number 4, I'm contradicting myself here just a little bit because of team record, but I do have Steph Curry. I just think what we've seen out of Steph Curry has been phenomenal up to this point. And I do think he is doing everything he can. He's averaging 30 points, 6.8 assists, 6.6 rebounds. Like, I mean, that's insane. 43% from the 3-point line with as many as he shoots a game is insane. Out of anybody that is in consideration for this MVP race right here, he's shooting the best. It just phenomenal stuff from what we've seen out of him. He's a 2-time MVP already, but this is the best basketball we've ever seen out of him. And so if anything, I wanted to give him love and his flowers before I feel like guys are really going to start for sure passing over him and whatnot. But I think from what we've seen up to this point, it's been phenomenal. And if he had a reliable number 2 piece, he'd be up even higher, the record would be better. Klay Thompson was shooting just a little bit better. If Draymond could do something offensively to help them out, if defensively, if they could get things figured out, things would be a lot better for not only the Warriors, but Steph Curry as well in regards of this MVP race. So I gave him love here, putting him at number 4.
I like that.
I respect it. It's crazy to think he's 34. That's just,
and he's playing the best basketball we've ever seen.
It's almost heartbreaking to know how old this generation is getting that we grew up watching. Anyway, Fred?
3, I put Donovan Mitchell.
Wow.
I mean, dude's jumped 6 points in his field goal percentage, 8 in his 3-point percentage. I mean, that dude, he's elevated his game. Like you said, Troy, I mean, dude's averaging 29, 4, and 5. Like, he's just playing at a great level. He's got the Cavs at a new level. They're a top seed in the East. I think that's going to stick the whole year. I just love me some Donovan Mitchell this year, man. I think it's him Booker for the best 2 guards in the league for sure.
I said it before the year started. If they go get Jay Crowder, they will be in the NBA Finals, and I still believe that to this day. You go get that guy that can compete with guys like Giannis, even like on the perimeter. Like they have the guys, obviously, that can compete in the exterior. But then you get a guy like Jay Crowder that could keep him kind of at bay in front. That you could send a double with a freakishly long Evan Mobley. I'm all over it. I love that, Fred. Caleb, what do you think about Donovan Mitchell, his year, what he's got rolling? Do you have him on your list, or?
I don't have him on my list. I just do think the remaining guys I have been playing. I will see the last 3 names I have. I feel like.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I do feel like he's playing very, very well. He's making Cleveland, not single-handedly, but he's making Cleveland a lot of fun to watch and a real contender. And they're a realistic threat. Like you have to really take them seriously. And we've put up, we've shown the splits, we've shown the numbers. I think as we continue on, it's like Evan Mobley still really hasn't got going like we think he should. Darius Garland has off nights every now and then as well. So I think what factored in for me, and I might be cheating a little bit, is like I was looking kind of ahead as well, and I think the team's going to get better, and I think the guys are going to start figuring out around him, and so we might see him slip just a little bit statistically wise. But I mean, you can't go wrong. Donovan Mitchell, I didn't like the guy in Utah for a couple years, and now he's just a dog, So
Yeah,
gotta respect it.
for sure. For sure. My number 3 is Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Mhm.
You can say it year in, year out. He just is what he is. I'm not even going to go into too much depth because we've just seen it year in, year out. He's just the guy. I feel like he doesn't miss a lot of games. He misses some, of course, but he doesn't miss a lot of games. He's like invincible almost. It feels like he's just on the floor. He's producing no matter what, no matter against who. He's just always out there grinding and doing great things. Caleb, who's your number 3?
My number 3 is Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid, 33.3 points, 9.7 rebounds, 4.7 assists. We've seen him put up 250 burgers this year. He's the best player, and he's the best big man in the Eastern Conference. Depending on what you consider Giannis, but he's just been dominant. I really do think that if he hasn't been playing as well as he has, the 76ers would be in a lot worse situation than what they are right now. And they're starting to turn things around now too. But I do think, with Joel or with James Harden being hurt, Tyrese Maxey being hurt, Joel really had to pick up the burden. I really don't think they wanted him to have as much of a burden as he has up to this point, just because they want him to be completely healthy for playoffs. But he's been consistent. He's putting up good numbers, and his team, look around him at Tobias Harris is his second best player majority of this time because James Harden, Tyrese Maxey's been out. That's not ideal. You know what I mean? And the Sixers are floating above, or have their heads above water. So I'm giving him love here. He's been dominant, and it's a lot of fun to watch.
76ers kind of Fred's baby coming into the year, I'm pretty sure. Loved him. Some Joel Embiid coming into the year. So Fred, who's your number 2?
Jayson Tatum's my number 2. Out there in Boston. Dude's hooping, man. 30 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists. 36 from the 3-point line, 47 from the field. He just continues to improve every single year. He's not just a jump shooter. He can defend. He can pass. He's a good teammate. He's a winner.
He's a dog. He's a dog.
Already.
No other way around it.
He's already a 2-time All-NBA performer. Obviously going to make it 3 this year. He's unreal. The things him and Jaylen Brown are doing out there in Boston, you don't have to throw Jaylen Brown's name in there, but he's the future.
And tomorrow
night,
they're getting Robert Williams back. So
can't wait.
They only get better.
That Celtics team is something special.
He's turning into the best wing in the league. It just is what it is. He's probably already surpassed Kevin Durant just because he's aging,
and he completely dominated him last year in the playoffs. Looked him dead in his eyes and said, I'm going to go win this.
Yeah, shouts out Jayson Tatum.
So my number 2, it may be a homer pick, is Anthony Davis. Statistically, what he's doing right now is unbelievable. You can say what you want about, Lakers record or whatever. There are a few games, there are a few collapses away from being 14 and 13. They're literally right there. They blew a game against Indiana, blew the game against the 76ers, and blew the game against the Celtics. And 2 out of the 3, they shouldn't have even been in the game. So 76ers were blowing them out, up 8 with 30 seconds to go. They found a way to get it to overtime. The Boston Celtics, up 20 in the third quarter, found a way to blow the game. The Lakers stormed back, and they blew a 13-point lead. So, there were a few games away from being over 500 that they absolutely blew. And Anthony Davis is the best big man in the league. I don't care what you have to say about it. Whenever he is rolling, he can score at all 3 levels better than most. He can, Joel Embiid's great on offense, but he falls off a little bit on defense, in my opinion. One-on-one, Anthony Davis, best defensive big man in the league. I don't think it's really close either. He can guard on the perimeter, can guard on the block. And Anthony Davis just is what he is. He's just a really, really nice big man. And he's putting up incredible numbers night in, night out, regardless of how unrealistic the expectation is from him, from the Lakers front office. But that is it for another day from me.
Yeah, I just got to see that record improve to really throw it in there. I do disagree. I don't think he's the best big. But I also think he's a 4.
That's big, though.
I think
Joel plays 5 for the Lakers too.
I just think I think Jokic is better.
I don't agree. because if you
I
remember,
can't argue back-to-back MVPs.
I mean, how many games was it where he was like disappearing the entire second half? You know what I mean? Like he wasn't putting up shots.
That was at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But like that consistency, for me, if MVP is consistent from day one, and it just wasn't there from day one. Like what he's doing right now is phenomenal, and it's a lot of fun to watch, and it's dominant. But like, just I mean, there were questions of like, what's this guy doing in second halves of games? You know, and you know there was a lot of questions to get figured out and whatnot with them. And so to have him number 2, I do think is a stretch. But you know, at the same time, if we're going off of like over the past week, then yeah, he's number 2, number 1. But I just consistency is key for me for this MVP race. That's why I didn't have Zion up here. That's why I didn't even consider Anthony Davis.
Yeah, I mean, Anthony Davis, talents-wise, probably a top 5 player in the NBA. I mean, the talent's obviously there.
Yeah.
So you guys both had Luka, and Luka's on a 500 team. 14-14, 9th team in the West. I mean, so that
like,
it's that bit like considering a guy for MVP is that like marginal.
Lakers are
where
11 and 16. Yeah, I think so. Okay. Lakers are 11 and 16.
I'm also taking in. I think Dallas is going to finish better than LA.
Okay. I think LA makes playoffs. Maybe that's
I mean, 10 teams make the playoffs now. Which I still don't agree with.
Well, I think they make the 8-team. I think they make the 8-team playoff. But
so are you?
I watch every single one of their games. I'm way too into them for my own good. But
I think they have to make a move. Then
I literally think we have seen them go toe to toe with some of the best teams in basketball. They beat Milwaukee on their home floor and put up 130 points on the best defense in basketball. But we're getting into a different subject, so I need to quit. Caleb, you're number 2.
I have Giannis here at number 2.
Yeah.
I figure in he's not going to get any votes. Voter fatigue. That's why Jokic isn't in my top 5. Jokic, I mean, is playing phenomenal. But Jokic back-to-back MVPs, he's not going to win this one. So I kept him off. But yeah, Giannis is the most dominant guy right now. Nobody can say in front of him. You know, he can get right to exactly what he's going to do. He's going to put his head down and get right to the rim, and he can't stop. Nobody can stop him from doing it. He's playing on arguably the second best team in the league. You know, we all know what Giannis is: 31 points, 11 rebounds, 5 assists, 1 block a game. It's just, you know, phenomenal stuff out of Giannis year in, year out. Top 3 player in the league, easy. So
there's not a lot you could say about Giannis that hasn't already been said. Like he's just unreal. Brett,
I'm with Joel Embiid on 1. I don't think that's a stretch. 54% from the field, 32 from deep, averaging almost 34 points a game, almost 2 blocks a game, almost 10 rebounds a game, shoot 85% from the free throw line. I think he's the most dominant big in the game. Plain and simple, he's putting up the best numbers. I don't care if it's 19 games played. I know he's been injured. He's the most valuable player in the NBA.
I can see where you think it. I do. Like I already expressed my Joel Embiid reason for having him top 3, but I can't give him the love at number 1 just because I do think the 2 guys that we both seem to have everybody consistent has above him, I do think are just playing at a higher rate and are playing more games.
Do you think is this a numbers award? In your opinion?
What kind of numbers? Like stats?
Stats.
I think
we've seen it be a numbers award. I think it
definitely plays effect, but I do think team success is a big part of it as well. And games played is a big part of it as well.
He stays healthy. Tyrese comes back. I think it's
if he can stay healthy, it just seems to be too big of a question.
For their top 3.
I also think he's sick of finishing second in the MVP voting.
Well, I mean, that's also a question for Anthony Davis. Can he stay healthy? That's a question for Joel Embiid.
That's a question for anybody. I mean,
Steph Curry just got hurt. Zion could get hurt at any minute as well. So it's, I don't hate it, Fred. I couldn't give him top 2. I couldn't give him 1.
I think he should have won MVP last year.
Hmm.
Scoring champion last year. I mean, he's just a bucket. Dude.
Jokic took a bunch of overseas players to the playoffs.
Yeah. Jokic can elevate, mediocre players. Embiid needs Maxey and Harden to be healthy, to be successful.
They've been winning
consistently.
Yeah, but I don't think I think if you give Embiid all those guys Jokic had last year, it's not the same. Like Jokic impacts the game in every single facet. Like Embiid's going to get the ball, he's going to face up, he's going to shoot 5 to 8 mid-range jumpers he shouldn't, and then he's going to, I think Jokic is the best center in the league. I
like a guy too to give effort every play. Like I honestly, as a Laker fan, there's a lot of non-effort. Like Anthony Davis plays a lot of stretches with low effort. LeBron does it pretty frequently. So it's like watching Embiid and Harden and those guys. Like sometimes they just don't want to be out there. With guys
Embiid takes a beating a lot though. So I try
he flails around.
Yeah, but he's also getting beat. I mean, that's a big boy, and like
all you can the ball in people's chest and then flails up. That's why
I think every player has those kind of things. You know what I mean? But I do
think manipulate the game. It's part of the game.
He learned from Harden. He learned from Harden. That's all I gotta say. And
I'm giving Howard his flowers too. He's been balling this year when he's healthy.
Who?
James Harden.
Oh,
I can't watch that guy. My number 1, my MVP is Jayson Tatum. I don't understand how he's not more nationally in like being the number 1 MVP. He's on the best team in basketball, not very close. He's putting up the best numbers that he has in his career. He's putting up unbelievable numbers, to be completely honest, on a team that has so many weapons. 30 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, efficient as heck. I mean, Tatum is what he is. He's a bucket. Coming off a year that I thought was going to be, with all the turmoil around the Celtics, losing their head coach, a lot of question marks. Brad Stevens continues to just string great moves together, string of the roster together to just be perfect. Joe Mazzulla seems like a really, really good coach. And I'm all in on Jayson Tatum being the MVP this year. Caleb?
I'm right there with you. I have Jayson Tatum number 1. He is by far, even with how successful this Celtics team is, they're sitting at 22-7. He's played 28 games. And even as successful as a guy like Jaylen Brown has been, because Jaylen Brown is playing phenomenal as well. Like Jaylen Brown's probably an all NBA second team right now. It's still without a doubt that Jayson Tatum is the guy in Boston. And he's putting up the numbers, 30 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, like you said. He just keeps getting better and better. Shooting 36 from 3, that's phenomenal. 47 from the field. We're finally starting to see him learn how to impact the game in more ways than just scoring. And I think that's very important. And when it comes down to it, like we saw against the Lakers the other night, he's going to come up big when they need him. And he's been the best player from day one, in my opinion, throughout for this season, because it started early and he just keeps going and he's on the best team. Shouldn't be a question. Jayson Tatum should be the MVP. Picked him at the beginning of the year. I'm sticking to it.
I love it. I love it. Fred, this has been a segment that you've kind of honed in on. It's become your baby to this show, if we're being completely honest. Something that you whipped up. The rookie report, Fred, I'm handing it right off to you. Just dive in, brother.
Before we get to the really star rookies that are performing, I just want to highlight a couple guys. Walker Kessler has been balling out in Utah.
One of my favorites. I'll say it. One of my favorite rookies from this class.
Yeah. Dude's just improving every game. He's a shot blocker extraordinaire. He's been given awesome minutes at Utah. Even in the starting lineup, he does great things. Jalen Duren just had 18 rebounds last night and 3 blocks. I love what he does in Detroit. He's he's built like a linebacker at his height. It's incredible what he does. I just love what Jeremy Sochan brings to a team. He's been beat up, but I think what he does on the defensive end can't be taught. Jayson,
Your boy.
got to get more minutes out there, man.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't
my
understand
goodness.
why not.
Yeah. But we'll dive right into some of the top guys. Andrew Nimhard for Indiana.
Out of nowhere.
Yeah, out of nowhere, man. Was a top pick in the second round out of Gonzaga. 46 from the field. He's shooting 40% from deep. He's got 10 points on the year, or averaging, 8.5 points on the year. He's given the Indiana Pacers team a lift, and he looked incredible, especially when Tyrese was out. But now they're playing alongside each other. Beautiful harmony, boys.
I mean, you're looking at three young guards that could play. I like realistically could play alongside each other. Him, Mathurin, and Halliburton. Like those three could play in games together consistently, and that's wild to think about, you know. But yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. Like I'm not the college guy here on the channel, so I'm not the guy to talk to. I didn't know anything about Nimhart before he came in. I didn't really expect much, and then just out of nowhere, wow, you know, it's been impressive. So.
Yeah. Yeah. And Nimhard was a guy that I highlighted. I'm pretty sure in our draft show,
Yeah.
he was, top 25 on my big board. I thought it was unreal that he went out of the first round. I just felt like he was a really good guard, like just a guard that could control the game, control all levels. I'd be lying if I said I thought he was going to do what he's done without Halliburton. I mean, dude was hitting step back tray balls, was knocking down a consistent three ball. I'm like, dude, if you did that in college, you probably would have been a top 15, top 20 pick. So a little surprised, not going to act like I'm the genie in the bottle and knew that Nimhard was going to be this stud. But his value was extremely low going into the draft, which was interesting.
Yeah, they also get more freedom in the NBA. I feel like in a college you're really stuck to a system, especially at Gonzaga. Just get through Timmy the ball and move. So yeah, right. AJ Griffin's the next one I want to highlight out in Atlanta. I think he's been playing really well. He's shooting only 33% from three, which isn't bad, but I expected him to be over 35%. But he's still averaging almost. He's averaging 10 points a game. And he's just been a nice little spark for Atlanta. So I think he can be a very, very good 3-and-D in this league.
I think we're looking at a case of like right system or right team for a guy like him because they need that help off the bench. And I mean, he wasn't really getting run early on, was he? I don't remember him getting run until a couple weeks ago.
Wasn't he?
Might have been.
He's played in 23 games, and I had this, printed off a couple days ago, so it's probably up from there. But
yeah, but I just think we're looking at a team that needs a guy like him off the bench and to potentially step in the starting lineup. And he's stepped in and proved it. 2-game winners at the buzzer, so they can't go wrong. 2 alley-oops.
Yeah. Yeah, another guy that I really, really like. He's just a wing and can shoot the ball. Obviously, numbers a little down, but yeah, I love AJ Griffin.
Yeah,
I'm pulling up my big board as we speak, just so I can kind of look where I had some.
Next guy, another guy who's starting to come into his own and get more minutes is Jalen Williams, the one out of Santa Clara over on the Thunder. He's playing about 26 minutes a game, shooting 52% from the field, about 11 points a game, 3 rebounds, 3 assists. Dude's a bucket.
Fred, I'm so glad you brought him up. He is hooping. That dude's he's for real.
I was so high on him. So high.
His pull-up mid-range game is so fluid, so nice.
Yeah.
Who is that?
He's in Jalen Williams.
Oh, Jalen Williams. Yeah, I think you had a crush on him throughout the process.
Good looking. His arms are so long.
He is a dude that another guy that's found the right system in OKC, and they love him. I mean, there was a game. Who were they playing? I can't remember off the top of my head, and I'm not going to waste time here. But like they made 2 really bad decisions back to back, and it was against the Nuggets. He gave up an offensive rebound on a free throw, and then had like a late turnover, a bad shot, one of the two. But like they just kept him out there. They love him. They're willing to play it through his mistakes and whatnot. And I mean, I guess I understand why. I mean, I love him, Fred.
Yeah, me too. His arms go on forever. So. Next guy, his numbers definitely has taken a dip down. It's Sacramento's Keegan Murray. I think he plays a great role out there, though. He's playing 29 minutes right now, 43% from the field, 37 from deep, and 84 from the line. sitting at 12 points, 4 rebounds. Just a really solid pro basketball player. I know this is Troy's guy.
Yeah, Troy, I'm gonna hand it to you.
Yeah, my boy. That's my guy. Struggling a little bit, if I had to say. He hasn't been, great, but hearing those splits, I mean, that's really not bad for a rookie. 43%, 37 from the 3-point line. Especially when you got guys around you like Sabonis, Fox, Barnes, Malik Monk, that all have a knack to go get theirs any given time. So, yeah, I love Keegan Murray, man. Long, athletic, can plays his role, can play in any system. I feel like he's not like a system player. I feel like he can kind of adjust to the system. But doesn't demand the ball, but whenever he gets it, he can make some stuff happen. I love Keegan. Love him.
Yeah, I mean, he's not a guy who's gonna score, like have the bunch of numbers like some of these other guys just because he wasn't gonna be thrown into a situation where he had to.
Yeah.
So, next guy,
he's not gonna be like Apollo that can just go get you. Yeah.
I'm gonna have Caleb talk about this guy because he talks about him a lot on the podcast, and that's Jabari Smith of the Houston Rockets. About 31 minutes a game, 37% from the field, 84 from the line, 36 from the 3-point line. However, 12.7 rebounds and a block. A lot of defensive versatility. Caleb, what have you seen out of Jabari Smith?
Yeah, I mean, he made Giannis really work. And Giannis finished with it was 18 and 16, and we never see Giannis score less than 20 points. Like I was like, what are we doing putting him on? Like Giannis is gonna murder him, and he held his own. He's really starting to figure things out on the offensive end as well. Like 36 for the year is, but like over the last several games, he's shooting pretty high. I'm pretty and he's like early on when he was playing bad in the summer league and everything. Like I remember saying, I guess it might have been a Daily Show, but I was like, I'm not gonna freak out just yet. Like he's a young guy. We're gonna figure things. Like I'm gonna see if he can figure it out. And he seems to be slowly but surely figuring things out and looking more confident. And I think that's a big part of it, especially as a rookie playing in the NBA, is confidence. And it seems like he's starting to get that and figure out what he wants to do and who he is going to be for this team. And so I like it, and also like Houston's not a great system for a power forward. You've got 2 ball dominant guards and you've got Alperen Şengün. It's like, it wasn't the best fit for him, but he's figuring it out. So I'm not worried. I think, as we're seeing, he's playing a lot better.
Yeah. As he's starting to figure out, I think the entire Houston Rockets team is starting to figure it out a little bit. 4-2 this month. They've beaten teams like the Suns, the Sixers, the Suns twice, actually, the Bucks. I mean, they're playing against good quality opponents and finding ways to win. Obviously, I don't think they're going to make the playoffs, but starting to figure it out a little bit.
It's almost like someone knew what to do when they took the over.
Well, you're just smarter than us, Caleb. Plain and simple. That's what it boils down to.
They're still 9-18.
Yeah, let's not get it good. Yeah, they might be 4-2 in the month, but next guy. I really highlighted him in the draft video. I was worried about his efficiency. 25 games, Jaden Ivey, 31 minutes, 40% from the field, taking about 14 shots a game, 72 from the free throw line, 30% from 3. He is averaging 15 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists. Troy, what do you think about Jaden Ivey?
He kind of just is what I thought he was going to be. I don't think he's really surprised me in any way, good or bad. I think he's just kind of been, he's solid, but is he next level? I don't know. He's just kind of like, he's cool.
Hey, cool. Yeah. Probably smells good.
He's another guy I think is just trying to figure things out, and I think it's just going to take some time. And I think it's important. Like him and he needed to learn how to play alongside Cade. Cade's gone.
Yeah.
So I'm not worried. I think he'll be just fine.
Yeah. Next guy, Paulo Banchero, number 1 pick. Played 21 games, 35 minutes, 45% from the field, 75 from the line, 25% from the 3-point line, on about 4 attempts a game, 22 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists. Troy, what have you seen about the kid out of Duke?
Yeah. I feel like an idiot having him at number 2 on my big board. And that's saying something, he's a stud. He can go get you a bucket any given time. I think he's exactly what the Magic needed. in terms of just like a go get me one kind of guy. I feel like they're starting to they have a fun little team out there. You know, if Jonathan Isaac could get healthy and like Jalen Suggs could stay healthy and they could figure it out with like Markel, if he could start to, you know, figure it out a little bit. Like this team is full of guys that are talented, like uber talented, like and are
And
kind of
long.
freakish. I was about to say, are kind of like freakishly gifted in terms of their length, their size. Like Mo Bamba is a guy, like Bo is a weirdo that can do
Franz Wagner's
freakish things.
huge.
Franz Wagner is weird and
Their best
long and
player, in my opinion.
good. Paulo is Paulo. Like you got dudes in there, and I was super high on Jalen Suggs last year, like ultra high. So I mean, if they could kind of figure this thing out, they got some talented dudes. And Paulo, big part of it, really good player. What do you think, Caleb?
I love watching the Magic. I pretty much hype them up every single daily show.
Yeah.
He's one of my least favorite parts about watching them. Oddly
Yes,
enough,
I agree.
He's a ball stopper. Like he don't pass the ball at all. Kind of, but like you've kind of think he's a rookie. Whatever, he'll figure.
He's got
figure
a
it out.
3-3 assist turnover ratio, so it's not the prettiest thing.
Yeah. So I mean, I just don't enjoy ball stoppers if they're not like elite Kevin Durant type scorers.
Or
You know?
Embiid.
And I like Embiid more than the average person, but yeah, not bad. Just I don't enjoy watching him.
Better passer than Anthony Davis. Next guy.
He had
I don't
that
know why
one
we're
in his
laughing.
bag for a minute, man.
That's called
He
a
had
fact.
that in his bag.
Next guy, I'll give right to Caleb. His guy out of Arizona, Benedict Mathurin, Indiana. Still, I think the best rookie performer so far. 28 minutes per game. His numbers have taken a dip. 42 from the field, 80 from the line, 36 from deep, averaging 18 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, and 1.9 turnovers, 2 turnovers a game. Caleb, what have you seen out of Benedict Mathurin after his blazing hot start?
Yeah, like you said, he's finally starting to cool off. But I mean, at the end of the day, you expect that out of rookies, especially one that comes out guns blazing like him. This Pacers team's a lot of fun to watch, and he is a major part of that. And so I think, up to this point, I think it's more of a race now for rookie of the year than it was before, just because he is cooling off a little bit, but he's one of the best rookies, and it's not even close. So
yeah. But yeah, that's what I have for the rookie report. Shaden Sharp, another guy I think's been doing really good things out in Portland. Dude's a freak.
Troy, Shaden Sharp's going to be the best rookie out of this class.
I disagree.
He will be the best in 5 years. He'll be the best player.
I disagree.
Athletic freak, has all the tools. I think we're looking at I wouldn't say generational talent, but I think we're looking at an elite level NBA player in just a few years.
I still think Jabari Smith will be, and I think AJ Griffin would be the most important.
Keegan Murray.
I think Walker Kessler has Walker Kessler has the longest career out of any of these rookies. That dude can play till
he's too big. I think his knees will start giving out.
He can just stand in front of the rim and do this, and he'll get 3 blocks a game. He'll be just fine.
I think Marjon Beauchamp has a lot of potential as well. Just super raw. And Jalen Duren's a freakazoid. So that's all I got, boys.
Hey, great show, boys. Fred,
I'm
out of here.
Hey, thank you guys so much, as always, for tuning in to the weekly NBA pod. Don't forget to check out the rest of our content. Subscribe, like it up, comment it up. Don't be a star. Don't be a superstar. Change the game. Be an X Factor. We see you guys next time. God bless. And peace out.